Alright, in this next lesson, as we go forward, we're going to factor each of the following of these completely. And you notice in this one, you still factor out a greatest common factor if you can, but we have a number in front of the x squared right here that we didn't have in 5-1. So there's a little different process, and it's called grouping. And the steps are these. The first step, you multiply a times c, which in this case, if you remember from your quadratic formula in Algebra 1, a is 6, b is -5, and c is 1. So multiplying a times c in this case will be 6 times 1 equals 6. And then what is b? b is equal to -5. So the next step is you have to find your two numbers that you're going to use. That will multiply to be -6 and add to be -5. Now in this case they're both negative because again you look at the second sign that tells you the signs are the same, and this sign, so this one says they're the same and this sign says they're both negative. So we've got two negative numbers, and so they multiply to be 6 and add to be -5, so that would be 2 and 3. So those are the two numbers you're going to use. Now you're going to replace your middle term with those two numbers. And I call it splitting the middle term. So you're going to rewrite this, and you're going to have 6x squared, and you're going to say minus, and instead of the 2x, let's see if I can somehow make this to where you can see what I'm doing. We'll highlight it. This 5x here is going to be minus 2x plus a -3x plus 1. And if you notice, that part is the same as the -5x. Okay? Then you're going to group.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You're going to group this first two and second two. So that is your fourth thing you're going to do. You're going to group. And 5, factor out a GCF from each group. So from this group it's 2x, and so you divide each of these by 2x, and you're left with 3x minus 1. Now remember, in the second group here, I want what's this first term to be positive. So I'm going to factor out a -1, and then that will, dividing each of these by -1, makes that 3x minus 1. Now if you've done this right, these two factors that are in parentheses should be identical. And that's going to be one factor. That comes down here as one factor, which is 3x minus 1. And the numbers in front, okay, that you have in front, that your GCFs that you factored out here, come down as your other factor. And so your other factor comes from the front, which is 2x minus 1. Okay, so hopefully you can see. And then this is your answer. I have factored that. If I FOIL this back, I'll get my original problem. Alright, so let's do some more examples. First, we do a times c, which in this example is 2 times -18, which is -36, and b is 9. This one tells me that the signs are different, that I have a plus or minus in my factors. Okay, so I have two numbers, one plus and one minus. So in essence, I'm going to subtract them. That multiply to be 36 and add to be 9. Well, that would be 12 and 3, and it's positive 9, so it's positive 12 and negative 3. Okay. So I take these two numbers and I split the middle term. 2x squared plus, and again, I'm going to go ahead and highlight. This becomes these numbers. We put them in here in the middle. So instead of 9x, I have plus 12x plus a negative 3x minus 18. Then you group the first two and the last two numbers, factor out your GCF, which is 2x. Divide each of these by 2x, and that leaves you with x plus 6. And the greatest common factor in the second set of parentheses is a negative 3. It's negative because I want that first term to be positive. And so I put negative 3, and then that becomes x minus 6. So again, one factor is what's in parentheses. That comes down just one time as x minus 6. And the other factor comes from the numbers that are in front of the parentheses, which is 2x minus 3. And then that's your answer. Okay. Next one, there's no GCF, so I leave that. I multiply a times c. And so that's 3 times negative 20, which is negative 60, and b is 7. Okay, so you have to think of factors that will multiply to be 60. So you can think of them. We have 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 5 times 12, and you just keep going till you find one. It turns out that the numbers that will work for this one are 5 and 12, because again, this minus tells me that one of my factors is positive and one is negative, so I basically subtract the numbers. So to get a positive 7, it'll be a positive 12 and a negative 5. And then that's what I'm going to put in place of this 7x right here. So you have 3x squared plus, and you put 12x plus a negative 5x minus 20. Group. Factor out your greatest common factor, which is 3x. So I divide each of these things by 3x. And that leaves me, when I do the division, with x plus 4. The greatest common factor here is going to be negative 5, which is going to leave me with, I put the negative 5 outside, x plus 4 in parentheses. Okay. So your two factors then, one of them is 3x minus 5. It's the numbers in front of the parentheses. And the other is what is in parentheses. And I'll go ahead and highlight that a different color just to highlight. But it only comes down once. It doesn't come down twice. It only comes down once. And then that is your answer for that second, or example number 3. Number 4. A times c is 2 times negative 28, which is negative 56. B is x. B is 1. If it's just an x, excuse me, that's going to be 1. Signs are different. So I have 8 times 7 is 56. I need to be a positive 1, so the 8 is positive, the bigger number is positive. So without highlighting, we have 2x squared. I'm going to put the minus 7x plus 8x. Just do it a little differently this time. Minus 28. Group. There's no greatest common factor here number-wise, but there is an x that they both have. So factor out an x, and that leaves you with 2x minus 7 plus 4 divided by 4, excuse me, and that leaves you with 2x minus 7. And so again, one of your factors is what's in parentheses, and the other one is the numbers in front right here, x plus 4. And that's how you factor by grouping. Okay. So we have factored each of those things completely. Now we have a couple more examples. Okay. So when we go over here, a times c is 3 times negative 12. Again, it's the same process. It's just more examples. Is negative 36. And b, and that's a times c, b is equal to 5. This tells me I have a plus and a minus. Alright, so 9 times 4 is 36. So I wanted positive 5, so it'd be positive 9 and negative 4. Split your middle term. So 3x squared comes from the 3x squared in the original problem, minus 4x plus 9x minus 12. And then I group. Factor out an x here. That leaves me with 3x minus 4. And there's an x in front that I forgot to write. See if I can fit it in there. And then here I'm going to factor out a 3. That leaves me with 3x minus 4 when I do the division. So one factor is 3x minus 4, and the other factor is x plus 3. Okay. Okay, my last example. Remember, I don't want a negative in first, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 1 to start with. So I factor out a negative 1, and that leaves me with 6x squared plus x minus 2. Now you can factor. We're going to ignore the negative 1, but it's going to ultimately come down as part of the answer. When you have your negative 1, you're going to have your 2 factors. But for the rest of the problem, I'm going to leave that and realize that just has to come down. So for factoring then, we have a times c is 6 times negative 2, which is negative 12. And b is 1. Okay. It's a plus and a minus. So 3 times 4 is negative 12. So I'm going to have a positive 4 and a negative 3. So you write 6x squared plus 4x. I always put a plus and negative if I put the negative second. Plus negative 3x minus 2. Then I factor, be sure you leave that plus sign between your 2 factors, or your groups. Factor out here a 2x from the first set, which leaves me with 3x plus 2. Now in the second set, I have negative 3x minus 2. I don't want the first term, I don't want the 3x negative, so I factor out a negative 1, which leaves me with 3x plus 2. Again, what's in these parentheses should be identical if you've done this correctly. So we have 3x plus 2 and the other factor is 2x minus 1. Again, the numbers in front combine to make that other factor. And we bring down the negative 1 from that original greatest common factor. Don't forget that, or part of that answer will be wrong. Okay. That covers those first examples. Now we're going to go over a few more examples. Okay, these problems were a little different. Not the basic idea is the same, but these all have a greatest common factor that we have to take care of first. So, kind of like this problem 6 had a negative 1. Well, these can all be divided by 3. So we're going to factor out a 3 first, which means you're going to divide each of these things by 3. And so you'll end up with 3x squared plus 10x plus 3. Once you've done that, again, you don't mess with the greatest common factor, except that you do have to put it in your answer. At that point, you just work with what you've got, your kind of reduced equation, I guess, or expression that's in your parentheses. So a times c, in this case, is 3 times 3, or 9. And b is equal to 10. Well, factors in this plus tells me that the signs are the same, and that plus tells me that they are going to both be positive. And 9, factors of 9 are 3 times 3 and 9 times 1. Well, 9 and 1 add to be 10. So we're going to go here and we're going to say 3x squared plus 9x plus x plus 3. Again, we're just going to work with this equation for the rest of the problem till the very end. We bring that 3 down that we factored out. Group. Factor out a greatest common factor from the first set of parentheses, which will be a 3x